Hello, welcome back to the Conservative Radio, and today we've got something rather serious. As you may very well know, since my last broadcast, things have been utterly shocking. First is the Trump assassination attempt, followed by the abominable opening show at the Olympics. Now, this brings me to the point of the video, this point being that of apathy. As you have seen, throughout the years, the cancer of wokeness has been a slow and steady growing cancer. First infecting civil rights movements, all the way to saturating entire political parties in its own madness. Yet now it is so prevalent, so mainstream in fact, that people don't seem to question it anymore. It seems possible that you may believe this to be a mere fad or that you don't think it necessary to combat, yet I implore you to realize otherwise. If you just simply look back to before the pandemic, to before this political crisis even existed, you could see how far we've fallen. You have people shouting at the top of their lungs, demanding themselves to be correct, and that anyone who disagrees is a bigot, a sexist, a Nazi. In fact, this delusional self-righteousness has reached such a degree that one of these people tried to assassinate a president, and after which, people on the left still picked and judged at that former president. There are people preying on innocent children, trying to lure them into this LGBT madness with things as ludicrous as Trans Story Hour, while they simultaneously derail any teachings given to them by their parents. And worst of all, this truly saddens me to say so, as a religious man and a God-loving man, that these people have tried countless times to infect and change Christianity. There are videos out there of these abominable services hosted by purple-haired pastors, complete with rainbow gowns, and behind them, golden statues holding a pride flag in place of where the cross should be. Not only, of course, do they hold little to no knowledge of the good book and what it says, but they additionally try to change and twist its words into something opposite of its original meanings and lessons. Frequently, I see them claim that we must love one another and be accepting towards our fellow man. Though these statements are true in their original context, there is a clear difference between loving someone and allowing them to do whatever they feel like, even though it's sinful or corrupt. Seeing such things is a warning straight out of Corinthians, if you ask me, because it appears that they focus less on God in such sermons and focus more on a false idol before them and pride, which is, by the way, one of the biggest sins in the book. Really, I just have to say that seeing all of this unfold throughout my life has really been a nightmare. Not once in my childhood would I expect to see the things that are happening now, nor would I hope you did too. Obviously, it seems that somewhere along the lines, something went wrong. Throughout the generations, there were hardships, divorces, which ultimately led to the record-high mental illness rate that we have nowadays. Yet, unlike any other time we had such numbers, we embraced our madness. Someone claimed that instead of treating our issues, instead of working it out, we should instead accept them as our own. Because, that makes perfect sense after all. Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? This man, of course, that started it all was none other than John Money.
You don't want to be like this. This is disgusting. This is awful in every way. If I could kill it, I would. But I legally can't. But I've considered it.
John Money, in case you don't know, was a small-time college professor who created gender theory. He proposed that sex and gender were completely interchangeable, and that if a male were to be raised as a female, there would be no distinctions between his feminine traits and a female's, and vice versa, of course. At first, his theory was rightfully dismissed, as he had no way of proving such things were true. That was until he met his first subjects, a pair of infant male twins, with one of which lacking male genitalia due to an unfortunate circumcision accident. John approached the family and persuaded them to abide by his experiment, as they felt they didn't know what to do. Upon accepting his request, though, John specified the conditions. The parents were to take their son that lacked genitalia and raise him as a female, never telling him that he was indeed a biological male, and so they did. The parents continued to raise their boys as John specified. They treated the one with genitalia as a boy and the one without as a girl, along with scheduling annual checkups with John so that he could see how the twins were progressing. As time progressed, however, there were some problems that disproved John's theory. They noticed that the twin which lacked male genitalia was taking on far more masculine traits than expected. He loathed wearing a dress, he preferred to pee standing up opposed to sitting down, and most noticeably, he took on extremely masculine fascinations such as sports and outdoors. This outraged John as he knew that this meant his theory was a failure, and it was at this point when things took a turn for the worst. After an episode of crippling depression, loneliness, and feeling out of place, the twin that lacked genitalia soon realized the truth. The twin later reported in interviews that it all made sense now. He stated that his entire life he did not feel anything like a female and that he would happily resume being what he was, a man. This small victory was, however, short-lived, as the twins revealed a horrific truth to their newfound press. According to each of the twins' testimony, every year during their annual checkups with Professor Money, he had prolifically and brutally sexually assaulted both of them. In their statements, they stated how John was in actuality sexually aroused by the experiment he inflicted on the twins, as he would force both of them into explicit positions with each other before he would assault them. This man, this thing, is the one who invented the entire LGBT movement from the start. So what does that say about the movement itself? If John's only motivation in doing so was out of pedophilic malice, that is truly disgusting. Somewhere, someone picked up his theory without realizing what was wrong with it, so now, here we are. Nowadays, we are surrounded by people who chant John Money's theories without ever once realizing the flaws in its construction. Most of which who do so don't even know who John Money is, let alone what he did when he created the theory. And that is because of apathy. With so many people chanting the same ideals, it feels understandably tough to chant against it, to swim against the stream, if you will. Yet I must urge you to do so, to recognize the wrongs that are being stated and correct them. Apathy and not acting against the masses has dug us into this hole, so it is time to change our tune. It is time to speak the word of truth and advocate such against those who are chanting money's lies. And truly, I pray that you and I will get out of this one day, unscathed and ready to warn the next generation about John's dangers.